I'm Liz. I'm the Senior Director of Customer Success and obviously very excited to be here today with Sam. So Sam's going to kick things off by getting right to the topic at hand, which is optimizing smart views. He'll spend the rest of the session doing Q&A, so keep the questions flowing. Quick intro for Sam. Sam is the founder and CEO of Close Doctor. His company builds and scales Close.com accounts for 7- and 8-figure brands, which, we all strive to be. Sam leads businesses with high ticket offers towards eliminating manual processes and increasing managerial oversight in order to close more deals faster. And since 2018, Close Doctor has partnered on over 60 close accounts with more than 200 remote sales reps and leaders. And Sam's custom built processes have generated over 100 million in revenue for his clients. So we're very, very excited to have Sam here with us today. Sam, kick us off.
Woo! Thanks, Liz. That intro is never going to get old for me. That's great. Thank you. Guys, we're going to talk about smart views today. Smart views, you're going to hear me refer to them as buckets throughout this little demo that I'll show you here, and I'll tell you why. But smart views are, in my opinion, not a representative of Close. They do not work for Close, but my opinion, smart views are what make Close.com Close. I think they are easily the most powerful tool in the Close.com ecosystem. And when used the right way, can give you every single piece of data, every single insight, every single whatever that you're looking for. Only if you also set up your account the right way. So first, I'm going to start off giving you guys the most common pitfalls people make when structuring their account and then not being able to leverage their account for smart views. And then we'll talk about my approach to building smart views themselves and how I think about them. And then we're going to talk about some smart view workflows. So I'm going to share my screen here. Here we go, guys. Now we got it. We're here. Yay. Awesome. Close.com. Woo. All right. Pitfalls when structuring your Close account. Custom fields. This is where people mess up. So custom fields, or how they build their custom activities, and specifically the field type is what I want the call out to be here. If you guys have parts of your application or parts of your funnel or website forms or surveys or any sort of data intake that you're bringing into Close, and that information comes in the same way every single time, meaning like it's a multiple choice question and answer. It's the same input every single time. Don't bring that into your Close.com account as a text field. Don't bring that in anything but a choice single select field. And the reason being is when you're trying to filter for that later, you're not going to have to type out that entire answer choice to be able to filter by it. You're going to be able to just click one little button to filter by that answer choice versus typing the whole thing out. Super common mistake I see people make in their Close accounts that can make their lives so much easier in the long term. So you got multiple choice fields. Make sure you're using, for the field type, a choice or drop down single select. I think it used to be called choice. Cool. Date and time. Same thing. If you're bringing in a date, something is happening to a Close account, like maybe the date a lead was created, or the date of a lead's call, or a date a lead performed some action, bring it in as a date field type. It's going to be a lot easier to filter from this start date to this end date when you're bringing things in as a date field. So it's my call out I want to make on custom fields. Same things apply to when you're building your custom activities, is you get the same sort of field types to bring in there. So just like you can choose what field type for your custom fields, your custom activities are essentially just custom fields within a form. Any other call outs there, Liz?
As one I see sometimes is even just numbers. If you don't formulate your fields, or if you put information in and you don't label it as a number, you will lose some smart view filtering capability, like the ability to do a range. So an example would be, show me all of my leads that have employee count between 1 to 200. If you're putting information in that field and it's not listed as a number, you won't be able to run a search like that. So that would be another call out. Perfect.
Yeah. And I'll show you guys what we're talking about when we're running the search. So I want to look at this custom activity, new activity, date of activity. Because this is a date field, I get to do is between, is within, is on, is before, is after. If this was not a date field and it was just a text field, it would look like this, contains exact words. So if I had to do like a date range, but I brought the date in as a text field, it would be impossible. You just wouldn't be able to do it. You'd be able to get one date, a specific day, but it would be impossible to do a range. So make sure when you're bringing information in, you are bringing the information in the right field type. So next, building smart views, how I approach building them. Talk out what you want. What information are you trying to get in this segment of leads? I'm going to go into another one of my accounts here. I want to find old leads I haven't talked to in 30 days, where I have at least had a 5-minute conversation with them on the phone. So I haven't talked to them in 30 days. So they're kind of old in my pipeline, but I've had a 5-minute conversation with them. So we know we've had some sort of communication together. Let's just start there. Give me that segment of leads. So how would I find that segment inside my close account? I would first look for last communication. I love this one. Communication, find the last communication word, date. And I do date is before days ago, 30 days ago. So that was the first part of the segment that I wanted, is I wanted to find leads that I haven't talked to in 30 days. And close, that is last communication greater than 30 days ago. Guys, I wish I had some cool tip or trick to give you on how to learn all of the things that you can filter by within close. That's one of those things that's just like a time and repetition thing. Click on the drop downs, play around with them. Liz, you got something on that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think scrolling through those filters and the way that you're doing it, where you're talking out loud, even just coming up with 10 or 15 of those kind of talking out loud types of queries and then walking through the filters and figuring out what they mean is a great way to kind of become more familiar. The other thing I was going to add is communication includes calls, SMS, and emails. So that's also really handy. One thing I see a lot of people do is they add so many filters because they don't realize that communication is more of an umbrella term. So you'll see people just make things a little less efficient because they're looking for SMS and then they're looking for calls and then they're looking for emails, but communication kind of wraps it all in one helpful bundle.
Yep. Exactly. So I've got the first part of my segment here, which is communication date is before 30 days ago. And then the last part I said is I wanted people that I've talked to for at least 5 minutes. Now, where you're going to get caught up on what I just said is I talked it out and I'm like, all right, I want people I talk to for at least 5 minutes. So coming to close and you're like, talk to, well, that's not how I find that. So what's that search query inside of close? This is where it just takes time and repetition to click through here and see what does what. This would be duration and find calls where duration is more than 5 minutes. So these are going to be all my leads that I've talked to for at least 5 minutes, but I haven't communicated with via SMS, phone call, or email in the last 30 days. Talk out your smart views. Talking out your smart views will really help you in the process. Write it down and then break them up into bits and pieces. And how do I filter for each bit and piece? You can do all of, any of, not all of, none of. This part still trips me up to this day on some of these complex smart views that I may build. But for the most part, I don't know if I'm ever changing this. Usually I'm able to get my segments and smart views built without having to mess around with any of these. Depending on how you talk it out, there's multiple ways to build the same smart view. Cool. I know we have questions coming in. I want to run you guys through one more part of this, which is how I use smart views to track processes and set up processes so reps can manage themselves. The first call I want to make is that your smart views should be always activity based. If a lead for me ends up in a smart view, it's because something didn't happen. Something didn't happen that should have happened. So all of my smart views, like I said, I refer to them as buckets. All of my buckets are built to be emptied. And that's how I want you guys to approach your smart views too. I want you to build your buckets so they get emptied. So if a lead shows up on a smart view, it's because something didn't happen. Well, what's my SOP or what's my process I need to follow for that specific smart view to get that lead to disappear? What actions can I take to get that lead to disappear? So if you're building your sales process outside of close and then you're trying to mirror it inside of close with smart views, and you make all of those smart views action based, you can build that foolproof sequence. And this is what I'm talking about. So in a lot of my sales processes and clients I work with, they'll have a triage team, SDRs, whatever, your warriors, of your sales team that are your boots on the ground. They're hitting the phones hard. They're doing the heavy qualifying. No matter what industry you're in, you guys have probably heard of that before. And then they'll have the closing team, the closing side of it. So for us in this account, TC is our triage call and SS is our strategy session. And for a setter, they approach their day by looking at today's calls first. And what is that? Well, we talked about custom activities last week. I'm filtering to show that a triage call was booked and the date of call is today, and I'm the lead owner. I don't have, unfortunately, enough time to go into how you build the custom activities to bring things in here, but just remember, these are just custom fields in a form. These are all custom fields. So I know my sales reps, my triage team, they first know they have to empty out their inbox. Their inbox is their number one priority. And then their number two priority is emptying their SmartViews. So this will always show today's calls in it. This one technically doesn't get empty because it's always just today's calls in here. I could make it get emptied, but I always want to be able to see today's calls at a high level. This one will always show upcoming calls. Now you would think this would be, oh, it should say date of call is after today and I'm the lead owner, but instead it says that there's a triage call booked and there's no custom activity that says this call didn't get completed or this call did get completed. Now, it's a process inside of our accounts that we build that you have to fill one of these forms out after a scheduled appointment happens. That's just the SOP. This is where we get our data. This is where we get our notes. This is where we fuel the marketing team with information on what we're seeing on our sales calls. So I know that if there's a triage call booked, custom activity that exists, and there's not a not completed and there's not a completed custom activity, I know the call hasn't happened because it's our process to fill that out when the call does happen. See how I'm forcing the process there? I'm forcing the accountability. TC following up, canceled, no-show, rescheduled, and then they have their own process checkup, just needs post-call activity here to make sure they take notes. Our custom activities drive our account, so I really need people to take notes after every single call and fill out those forms. But these right here, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, are all built the same way. This is saying the last communications more than 5 days ago. That's the first qualifier for this bucket. I haven't talked to this lead in 5 days. I haven't emailed them, I haven't texted them, I haven't called them. They're not a bad fit lead status. They're not signed up, they're not a customer, and they're not DNC. So that's good. I'm the lead owner, right? I only want to talk to my leads. I said they canceled their appointment. And that's the title of the Smart View. I only want leads that canceled their call. That way, if I want to send an email blast and I create an email template and I want to email 20, 30 leads in this Smart View with a bulk email, I can specify my messaging and cater it towards canceled appointments. And there's also not an SS booked present, because an SS booked would mean that they booked higher or further down the funnel. They booked with an account manager. They booked for their closing call. So 5 days would go by where a lead would meet all this criteria. I would call them, I would email them, I would text them, they would disappear. Another 5 days would go by, no communication. They'd show up in here, I'd call them, I'd email them, I'd text them, they'd disappear. So every single day, all I have to do is tell my sales team, hey guys, empty your buckets. And I can get really easy visibility across this account. If I just want to look at some other person's account, I just change who the lead owner is into our people following process. Build your sales process outside of close. Find a way to mirror it inside of close with your Smart Views, leveraging custom activities, and then make all of your Smart Views action-based. So leads will always disappear from them. And then you'll have a sales process that you as a business owner or as an account manager can know that like 100% is being followed the exact way you want it to. That's it. I'm off my soapbox now.
I love this. I think we have a pile of questions. Do you think you want to jump into that first?
I sure do. How do you create a Smart View based on the number of days to call since any prior call? That's that last communication date that we were just talking about there. Let me know if that answered your question, but that is all that is. So search communication. I guess I should just keep my screen shared. Back in business. Communication. And then under communication, you have first and last. You want last, where date. Then you want is before, and then I like to do the days ago. That's how many days ago since the last communication. How do I create these separations between Smart Views? Great question. So Close does not have folder capabilities in Smart Views yet, and that really upsets people. And some people just get really mad about it. And I'm just like, hey guys, there's still a way. There's still a way. So what I like to do is I just create a Smart View that has, I don't even know what this is. Meeting activity matching all of G. It's just random. It's made up. I don't know. no lead will ever show up in here. And then when I name it, I just name it with a bunch of underscores. So that's how I separate my smart views. And then I also label them with an emoji and I number them. So numbering your smart views, emojis, and then these fake little smart views that hold no value as dividers is a great way to store them right now if you have a lot of them. Also remember that if you have user types and you have lead owners assigned, always just use lead owner as me. And then you don't need to create a smart view for 10 users across all of your accounts. If you just do lead owner as me, when they log into their account, they're going to only see leads that they're the lead owner of. Matthew, I'm curious how you recommend using smart views to augment sequences. Matthew, that's a great question. One thing that initially comes to mind, and we're not going to go down too much of a Zapier rabbit hole here, but one thing that comes to mind is a Zapier trigger that I love that's called new lead in smart view. So you can set up a smart view that, I don't know, call it this canceled smart view. Once a lead meets these criteria, I could have the trigger of new lead in smart view. So lead meets this criteria, they're going to end up in here. And then I can have an action step of enroll lead in sequence. So that would be one way you can use smart views to leverage sequences, is by the Zapier trigger of new lead in smart view. Let me know if that answered your question.
And one thing I want to pop in here is that we are hoping to replace a lot of that functionality around automation where you have to use the third-party partner Zapier with in-app triggers. So there will be more kind of in-app triggers based on smart views. That sequences tab will get a whole new name called workflows. So it's definitely something we're actively working on. Keep your eyes on the community channel for any betas around that.
Amazing. I'll still probably build it in Zapier for the next 10 years because it's all I know how to do. But no, that'll be an exciting day. When will custom tasks come to sequences? Oh, assigned tasks? That's a great feature request, Matthew. I'm going to +1 that one, and Liz is going to take that back to the product team. I'm sure that one's already on the feature board. What do you usually use as a trigger to move from one smart view to another or to exit the smart view? Last communication is typically always my one qualifier, Bob. So the first question you ask, same answer. Last communication date before X days ago is pretty much always my qualifier when it comes to building action-based smart views. These manager ones are all process-based smart views. Like this manager sales call needs book smart view. This is saying that there's a triage call completed that has a status of book strategy session. So an SDR on this team said, yep, I took this call and they booked with the account manager. They booked a strategy session, but there's no strategy session booked custom activity that exists. Well, I know that if they booked a strategy session, that this custom activity, it has to exist. It's just how the machine is built. It's an automation that I've built in here. So if it doesn't exist, it's because something didn't happen. How do we get the lead to leave the smart view? We do that thing. We make sure that that custom activity actually exists, and we follow up and make sure that that strategy session got booked. So someone just joined us on stage for a second there. That was exciting. Is there a possibility to do the filter with the communication, including notices? Lisa, I'm not sure. Is there a possibility to do the filter with the communication, including notices? I'm not sure what you mean by the word notices there. If you provide me some more context on that one, I will answer that question. You're saying the buckets should be built to be empty. What about follow-up lists? They may kind of never really be empty, right? I think every smart view can be built to be empty, Tibor. I feel really confident in that. So if a follow-up list exists because, hey, I need to make sure that that follow-up list is enrolled in a sequence. If someone's in this follow-up list, they need to be inside of this sequence. They need to be inside of this follow-up sequence we built. Well, then the way to make sure that that lead would leave that bucket and get emptied from that bucket would be my leads. I don't have any sequences in here. Where they're not in any of, and then the sequence, the specific sequence, right? So then when they are enrolled in that sequence, they would disappear from that smart view. So I want you to think, Tibor, about why you built the bucket, what purpose it serves. If there's an action that needs to be taken because of the bucket that you built, how can you then add just one more piece to your smart view so when that action gets taken, they disappear from it? And that's how you make sure your SOPs and your processes are just super, super buttoned up and nothing's falling through the cracks. How do you create the header for the smart views? Matthew, we answered that one. That is just the building some random smart view. It doesn't make any sense. Lisa, in German, we have the gender in our language. English, it's only you. Is there any chance to add a field for the salutation Mr. Mrs. so that I can identify the gender of the contact by automation for a sequence? In German? Okay, I took 4 years of German in high school. That's not going to help me answer this question, but I'm going to read the question again, which might help me answer it. In German, we have the gender in our language. English, it's only you. Yeah. Die, der, das, den, dem. That's what we're talking about, Lisa. I think, is there any chance to add a field for the salutation? Liz, you got an answer to that question? I don't know how I would bring that. I would have to know how you collect that information first, because if you collect it, you can bring it in as a
contact custom field is probably where I would go with that. So Lisa, depending on where you keep that information when you're bulk importing, or if you're bringing it in via like a form or something like that, I think my first inclination would be a contact custom field where you could put, salutation, and then you'd have that. You could also then use that potentially as a template tag for your email template, and then enroll that into your sequence so that you have the salutation, in front of the person's name. I can show, I don't want to mess up anything you have going on here, Sam, but if you want to maybe go to the contact custom fields, and then, contacts, this could just be like salutation text, exactly. And then we could use, single line. Oh, contact. Nope, I'm sorry. You're right. Text is fine.
Text is cool.
Yeah, that should be fine. And then if you could show where that it lives on the lead.
Yes. So it would live right here. It would look like this.
Yeah.
If you brought it in. But I don't know where you're getting that information. That's depends, I don't know. I don't collect that information in my sales processes anywhere. So I don't know what your business looks like specifically and where you can get that information. But yeah, that's where it would live. Cool. Any recommendation on how to use smart views for active customers, customer success, etc.? For sure. Yeah, Jake. I do have recommendations in that one. That's a pre-built one that I put in every single account. It's just called student check-in. This is saying, look how simple this is. I'm the lead owner, so I was like the original account manager. And this could be, if it's just someone on like your customer success team, it could be that person. I'm the lead owner. Current status says that they're signed up and we haven't talked in 2 weeks. That just means all of our signed up customers for our accounts, they need to get a touch point from the account manager every 2 weeks. They call them, they text them, they email them, they disappear. They don't have to think about it again. That's it. How do you make that one step further and even more dummy proof? You just build a sequence that puts a touch point on every single 2 weeks, right? You won't be able to stay on top of how specific that sequence is and, how specific it is to that person. But this is one way to do it. Liz, you work at the customer success team for Close, pretty high status. What do you do? How do you drive customer success with smart views?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd say, practically speaking, in terms of how we set it up, we have 2 lead owner fields. So we've got the sales, lead owner field, the person who sold, and then we have a CSM lead owner field. And that way, the exact same way that Sam just showed you that with the lead owner, we just use the lead owner for the CSM. So once someone becomes a customer, we do round robin lead assignment using Zapier, which we are going to replace with in-app lead assignment in Close. And then the team kind of takes it from there. We send a sequence, onboarding sequences. We reach out for calls, things like that. So kind of it's really not any different than what you do as a sales team. It's just the same way that Sam is describing, laying out that process of how you want your sales team to function. It's thinking about it from the CSM side. How many check-ins do you want to be doing with someone within their first 30, 60, 90 days? How are you going to build the relationship thereafter? And then just creating the process with the smart views to check in with that afterwards. Yeah, simple as that.
Yeah, I just love the call out there of like, well, what's the process for CSMs? Cool, build it the same way that you just built the sales process. I think another here is your, I should invoice you guys for tips like this of the day. Like this one is crazy. And that is, how can you use close.com as a support ticketing tool? What? A support ticketing tool? That would be crazy. Kinda. Create a custom activity called support needed. And then we're going to add our call out text fields versus text area. Text fields suck. Text area, where it's at. Text area, you can do so much more stuff in. Text fields, don't know why they exist. Text area, guys, use text area. Don't use text fields in custom activities specifically. Unless, Liz, there's a reason to use a text field in a custom activity versus text area.
Yeah, I think you'd really have to think that one through. Maybe
All
your answer is just so small. I think Sam might be right on this one, folks.
Yeah, cool. So this is boom, where I would do a request and then I would put in date of request, right? I know this is going to get logged when I submit the activity, but this way I can filter by it. Really easy, date of request. And then I'm going to put in a status. I'm going to make this a choice. I keep calling it choice. It was definitely named choice before. Open. Ready? In progress. And then resolved. Cool. I'm on a lead profile now. And Mr. Brian Howard, this guy, he needs help. I'm on the sales team and I'm working in this account, and he reached out to me and he said, hey, I need help. Can you give me support? Well, I don't want to like go into Microsoft Teams or Slack or whatever and then have to message someone, hey, can you get this guy support and all that. And I just want my CSM to work out of the close account. I don't want them to have to get notified in other areas. So I just fill out this custom activity, support needed. I'll say, here's what I need on this date. And it's open right now. Now I create a smart view that says, watch this. Oh, you guys are going to love it. Status for, what did I call that thing? Support needed. Where is it? Do I need a refresh?
That's a pro tip right there. Always a hard refresh after you make a new customization.
Support needed. Status is any of. Open. Save as. Open support tickets. Ta-da! Now you can have one called in progress support tickets and resolve support tickets. And you can add all these other features and benefits or things you want to track to your custom activities. But that's one way you can use close.com for support tickets as well, which is a really cool use case. Another layer we add to this is we actually take that support ticket, and when it's published, we send it to a Slack channel. So it just notifies the team quicker inside of Close. Can you task SmartView your sales reps? Can you task SmartView your sales reps so they can empty the bucket? I'm not sure I fully understand that question. If I am understanding it correctly, you can assign tasks to other people across the organization if that's the question. I only got one person in here, so it doesn't show anyone else. But any person in Close can create a task for anyone. I think keeping processes in check and emptying the bucket comes down to your leadership of your sales team. Like that's, you can build it. You can build I like to think world-class Close accounts. Sometimes people still won't use them because they have poor leadership with their sales teams. So we do weekly one-on-ones with all of our sales reps. In that one-on-one, part of that time block together is let's check out your buckets. And we click on every single one of them together. You've got 200 leads in your no-show smart view right now. Why? We have sequences, we have templates, we have SOPs on what we do with these things. Why do you have 200 leads in your no-show smart view right now? Right, and you can address those things in a one-on-one. But sales reps, just tell them, empty your buckets. If you just build the smart views so they're activity-based or action-based, it makes it so easy to manage the process. Is there a way to create a sequence within the same email chain? So Liz, if there was an active email chain going on, can I put a sequence into that chain? I don't think so. You can send a template.
You could do like that follow-up. If they don't respond within X many days, follow up with a sequence. That might be.
It might put it in the same thread.
That's a good question. It probably isn't still not going to show in the same activity feed, but that's the way you could like kick off a sequence within an automated way to kick off a sequence within a existing conversation.
That's smart. I really like that. I think I might have shared this last week with you guys. Maybe not. If you're new here, another just thing that, man, value bomb for you. What is it in here, Liz? That's like where they open email, date opened, total number of opens, find emails where date opened is today. Yeah. Guys, this right here, if I wanted to make it specific to a certain email I sent to, right, I can segment by that. But just date open today, if you send an email blast and you just watch this smart view like a hawk, as soon as someone opens the email, it's new activity within their close profile, and they're going to populate right at the top of this smart view, and then you can call them. And then they're reading your email you just sent them, and then you just call them, and they think you are a wizard. And it's a really fun way to get in touch with people. So give that a shot. You can just sit here with Power Dialer going and just have it start calling contact after contact that's open in your email. Bob, I see you got a question that would be easier to explain off mute. I'm going to try and get to these other ones before we bring on anyone live, if that's all right. If you want to try and put it in the chat, try and explain it. If not, we'll be happy to bring you up on stage. Any plan on creating video tutorials instead of the help doc? I plan on doing it. I'm going to do it. Yes. I don't know if the closed team is. If they are, if they're not, doesn't matter. You can count on me. It's coming. It's going to happen. I know getting to a point of what I have in front of you guys and having a close account that operates like this is not easy. It took me 6 years of using close to get to this point. It's not easy. I'm going to find a way to make it just so easy for you guys. I'm going to make it really, really easy. The close team is going to continue to be the best support that exists, and I'm just going to keep coming at you inside the Slack community. So you got to get inside the Slack community if you want to get those helpful videos. Still not clear. For example, student check-in would go empty, but on the next day there might be old leads in there again because there wasn't a touch point for 2 days, right? Then it's not empty again until there's a touch point. That's fine, right? Yeah. So leads are going to show up as soon as those criteria are met, Tibor. Yeah, they might show up at any hour of the day. It's just when 14 days without communication goes by. Every single day you empty them. Every single day there might be a new person in there. The whole point is that every single day I want to empty them because that's my process around the smart view. You got to have processes. You got to have SOPs for these things too, right? And good documentation. So much of effective sales CRM usage is not how you build it. It's not what you put into it. It's not how you use it. It's how you get your team bought into it. And that could be a training for a whole nother day and positioning new tech and tools to your team. But getting your team bought in and leading them through the process of using the tool is super important. Recent blog post that James Urey published on 5 successful strategies for CRM adoption among your sales team. We'll get that linked in the chat for you guys. Really good read. Top 5 tips on how to get your team bought in. Can you create a smart view using multiple fields inside a custom activity? For example, we use a key contact activity. This activity includes contact's name. I want a list of contacts that are key contacts called that week. Can you create a smart view using multiple fields inside a custom activity? We use a key contact activity. This activity includes a contact name. That's the part that's tripping me up on that one, Matthew, is this activity includes the contact name, because I'm not sure why you would put a contact name inside of custom activity since a contact name already exists but also there's a difference between lead and contacts, and maybe that's what you're trying to distinguish is the contacts within the lead. What do you got, Liz?
I think this is possible. So a list of contacts that are key contacts that were called that week.
Because a contact is just going to be a text field you can't yet feature request one day. It's going to be a cool day. Be able to get a custom activity column to show up here. So I'm not sure if that's what.
Hey, Matthew, this might be one we would need to take offline by looking at how you have the custom activity set up. If you want to email success@close.com and just send us a screenshot or a quick video of the existing custom activity that you have, we can try to figure out a better way to do this for you. Or I think it's just a visualization problem for me right now. So you want to send that over. Our team will respond to you after the webinar.
And Matthew, you got the success. She didn't even send you to support. That's crazy. That's like, I still email support to this day, Matthew. I've never emailed success.
Sam, why are you
Yeah, I
emailing
know.
us?
I know. Support's good. Pedro's got that place on lock. Is there a place in Close to store documents that you can link leads via templates? No, not yet, but that's going to come. That's a big feature request. I know I've seen a lot of people attaching documents to lead profiles. I see that one probably every single week in the Slack community. Guys, I'm a Close.com fan. I love the tool. I love the company. I think the support is fast. I know when using these tools, these feature requests, you're just like, gosh, this would change my business if I can get it right now. One call out I want to make is, I know they hear you. And the Close team actually does work really fast with rolling out new stuff. Like that mobile app came out quick, really, really quick. And when Close does updates, they only do it section by section. So if they're working on custom fields, they're only working on custom fields. I mean, they're not touching anything else. So feature requests, I know Liz has a huge running board of them, and we use the Slack community to like upvote them and push them up there. So just keep getting in the Slack community, providing your feature requests. I know the Close team gets to them. Don't let it upset you if one doesn't exist. I hate seeing people upset. What's the API limit of Close? I do not know the answer to this question at all.
It's going to be really specific on the types of actions and endpoints that you're using. This is definitely a question for support at close.com. If you want to email them with what you're trying to do, or maybe any worries you have around sending a bunch of API calls, they can get very granular with the capabilities of our API.
Sweet. The open email filter shows every contact in the lead. How can I create this view to show John open as a specific contact? Matthew, that's a really good question. I've personally never worked with any business that has a difference between leads and contacts. For me, they're all the same. A contact is a lead for me. I've never had like ABC company with 12 then contacts within that lead, right? The lead would be the company, the contact would be the person. Liz, do you know how to answer that question?
We do have a lot of folks that have leads and contacts separately, if that makes sense. But right now, I don't believe we have a way to show that a specific contact opened an email within the contact view. That's a level of granularity that I think our contact search doesn't have yet. We'll double check on that one for you, Matthew, but I'm 99% positive right now you can't create a contact smart view that will show you every contact that opened a particular email. Potentially the better way to do this, or the way to find that information, is to go in through our email reporting. The sent email report will often show you the opened emails and things like that. And then you can, scroll down and use the linking mechanisms there to, respond back to someone. There's also a filter on the lead page itself that you can use to kind of show you all the activity from a particular user. So that's probably what I would use to try to isolate the person who, opened the email and respond to them. If there's also, depending on what you want to do after you have that information, I want to enroll all these people in a sequence, or I want to send them one-off emails, sometimes we can create some better workarounds for you, depending on what the action you want to take is after you have the information. Again, this is one you could probably include to success at if you want to give us more of overview of like, okay, once I have everyone who opened my email, I want to go do X, Y, Z with them. If you want to send us that information, we can help you figure out a process for it.
Sweet. Thank you, Liz. A bit off topic, but is there anything in the pipeline to send timed reminders via Close SMS based on Calendly appointment date and time? Example, hi prospect, we're meeting 1 hour. Looking forward to our chat, sales rep. So Cass, I think the first call I want to make, especially with all this new AT&T, ADP, 1098, 381, whatever it's called. You guys know what I'm talking about. With all of that, we, everyone's going to get a little more on edge around sending templated text messages for sure. And like setting up a Close account to probably use its Twilio number to send templated text messages for reminders like that. It depends on what scale or what volume you're operating at too. But it's probably not going to be like an amazing idea moving forward once all these new laws and regulations go into effect. With that being said, it's probably a way to do it. Yeah, Calendly's feature, a good call out. Calendly has those reminders come, but that's going to be from your 6-digit number. It's not going to be from your Close 10-digit phone number. Yeah, there's ways to do it that I think, FBI would be on me if I shared. So is there a way to do it? probably. You could write some custom code and figure it out and make Close's API send some text messages for you for sure. But your phone number is probably going to get thrown up in like phone jail. And every single time you call someone, it's going to say spam likely. And that's not going to be fun. So what I recommend you do is use the send later feature for SMS messages. So you can have your template, right? And then you can schedule the text for an hour before the close, the conversation. And then that's one way to definitely have your reminders go out. Maybe not the answer you're looking for, but that is definitely the answer that accomplishes what you need, keeps you in the lead, top of mind, and not relying on an automation there, and won't get your number thrown in phone jail. Don't want that. Did that webinar happen yet, Liz?
No, but it's coming soon. So we'll make sure to give you guys a heads up on that one. But definitely plug A2P registration, everything you need to know. It is coming. We would love you all to join it. It's the 25th, actually.
Sweet. That's going to be a good one. It's going to be really boring, but it's going to be a good one. It's going to be super boring.
It's one of those necessary evils, I think, at this point. Luckily, I will say the person who's hosting it, Carol on our support team, is just a delightful human. So if there's any way to make it not boring, it's Carol hosting.
There should be a ton of people that attend. That should be Close's biggest webinar as far as I'm concerned. Everyone should want to get on that. How does the syncing of Calendly event bookings work with Close contacts? It's a native integration now. So just under integrations tab, you're going to click on Calendly, connect your Calendly account. And then as long as the email addresses are matching in the Calendly event type, you should see that join meeting, a little link at the top of that lead's profile. If you're having problems with your Calendly integration, support at close.com. I don't know if that's a success at close.com kind of email. Liz, I'll let you chime in on that, but yeah.
When it goes technical,
support.
Support is where it's at. Sometimes these things too also involve, if there's some type of technical issue related to a third party, our team also knows the right people that get involved on the Calendly side too. If there's some sort of, issue.
Good relationships there. Yeah. You recommend using date open is present instead of today. What lead to that recommend? Matthew, you're right. Whatever you just said, due date is today. If I said the other thing, I didn't mean to say that, but it would just be date open is today. And then you can specify which specific email if you wanted to as well, based on the subject, like text in the subject line or a specific template. That's all of them. Did I miss any? The chat, I was only in the questions feed. I didn't get to see anything in the chat. I'm sure chat was on fire too.
I think that was most everything. And it might be everything I think there was a couple we asked to take offline because we needed a little bit more information. But I think that was everything. Laura, ping me if there's anything else I'm missing there. And I think, Sam, you're so sweet to post your schedule page if you want to talk with Sam directly, because who doesn't after this webinar?
Yeah.
I'm going to go schedule some time to chat with Sam. Then you can click on that link and schedule directly with him.
Yeah, guys, grab 30 minutes with me. closedoctor.com/schedule, links in the chat. The only thing I definitely ask, I know we got people around the world here. If you are gonna grab time with me, make sure that's the time that you can show up and be there, because I'm gonna give you 30 minutes of just straight value inside your close account. We're gonna sit inside your close account and we're just gonna build together for a half hour. So if you grab some time with me, I can commit to just sitting with you deep to build these smart views, to build these custom activities for free. But if you schedule it, please show up to it. That's my only ask.
That's a pretty high class offer, folks. I mean, for free, nothing is for free these days. So thank you, Sam. You're amazing. Definitely want to say thank you to everyone for joining. The recording will go out afterwards. And again, as always, huge thanks to Sam, the Close Doctor. Always a pleasure hanging out with you.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everyone, for coming, to the thousands of you out there. Good night. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.